Guys, today I have a very important video. I see a lot of people right now are about to make a huge mistake in the crypto markets. So today, guys, I'm going to talk about what that massive mistake is, because we are right now getting a lot of articles, a lot of talk about a pullback down to $30,000 in the next few days. The reason for why they believe that we are going to see this, we're going to go through it here in this video. I am going to give you my 100% honest opinion about what I think about these theories, what I think about the markets in general, and much more, guys. So you will want to watch this. If you're holding any crypto, if you are looking to get into buying crypto, anything of that nature, then make sure to watch this video from the beginning until the end. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Chris, bringing you cryptocurrency videos every day, teaching you how to make money in this market. If you're new to the channel, then make sure to subscribe and activate the bell right now. So let's get straight into it. And what we can see for Bitcoin is that after the pullbacks yesterday, we can see that we went below. We were supported first a couple of times here on the yellow line, orange line, and then we went below it. We did have a significant pump from this point as well, or a significant bounce, I should say. So this was from 44,600, and we saw a bounce up to more or less where we are right now, 45,377. And in that also we went down and actually retested this orange line. So things are still looking pretty good for Bitcoin. And as you know, guys, my base case is still that we are in a bullish trend for Bitcoin. And you already know about what I think is going to happen on the day of the ETF approval. So when the ETF is approved or denied, you already know about my scenarios there. So I'm gonna give you a reminder what I think people are missing about this entire thing here in a bit. But first, for Ethereum, also you know that I've been talking about this range on the daily time frame for Ethereum, how we are still to this day trading in within this range. So we have been sideways here in this range from the beginning of December, actually from the 1st of December, literally here. So that is very, very interesting. And let's see for how long this is going to hold on. But this is good for my trading strategies, of course, accumulating on the way down and then taking profit on the way up. So that is absolutely fantastic. If you look at traditional markets, and this is interesting because traditional markets actually broke down from the orange line here yesterday, and we have had a pretty decent pullback for traditional markets. But as you know, guys, as I've been saying the last few days, this is the instance where I do not think that the traditional markets are really going to impact Bitcoin that much, because Bitcoin is a beast of its own right now until the ETF is either approved or denied. At that point, you could see some more correlation between the traditional markets. But for now, it is a beast of its own. And yeah, we are kind of just going with the flow here. And let's see what Bitcoin is going to do in the next few days. I think it's going to be absolutely crazy. Now, before I talk about my trading strategies here, let's talk about what a lot of people I think are going to do wrong here. So first, the spot Bitcoin ETF could get approved by the end of this week. This is what Fox is reporting right now. So this is obviously completely in line with what we have been saying here on this channel as well, and what I believe personally. Now, there's more and more of these articles coming out that you are going to see such a huge dump once the Bitcoin ETF is approved or denied. Well, if it is denied, yeah, I agree, you're going to see a big drop. However, to say that we are going to go down to $30,000 on the day of the ETF approval, I will give you several reasons why I believe that that is not the case. And how do they end up with $32,000 on the day of the ETF approval? Well, that is the short-term holder realized price, which basically shows us on-chain which price the acquisition of all of the Bitcoin in circulation have been acquired at. The ones that have been acquired in the last 155 days. What is that price? And that is right now sitting at $32,000. So during the Bitcoin that's been moved in the last 155 days, most of those were bought at $32,000. This is something we can verify on chain. So that is why they believe, and in bull markets generally, we do at some point come down and retest this trend line itself. Now, obviously, the longer time goes on, this is going to go higher and higher. So just because it's at $32,000 right now doesn't mean that we have to come down to $32,000. Just like I said, it's gonna most likely going to rise by every day that goes by. But for now, it is sitting at $32,000. So CryptoQuant here are predicting that we are going to go down to $32,000. So that's the first one, but you're seeing more and more of these. Also, K33 Research, the Bitcoin spot ETF decision is expected on Bitcoin spot ETFs between January the 8th and January the 10th. Well, I believe it's going to be sooner than that. But the probability of the sell the new scenario is at 75% versus 20% for approval inflows propelling prices higher, and a 5% probability that the filings are denied. Okay, so they are saying that basically 5% that the ETF is denied, but it is 75% that you're gonna see a big drop during the ETF approval, and that you are going to see 20% chance of, prices going up and staying up on the date of the ETF approval. Now, for me, I think it's pretty clear. Like, I've already talked about my scenario, what I think is going to happen. So I think we are at the point in which it is approved. Let's assume it's approved and not denied. If it is approved, I think we're going to see a pump. Okay, so the price targets, you already know about them. If you don't, then make sure to go back and watch my previous few videos. So the price targets you already know about, but if you see this pump, yes, you are then going to see a pullback, as all of the people that have been buying in anticipation of the spot Bitcoin ETF being approved is going to take profit. So you could see something like an inverse V shape, so you go up and then you go down. However, for us and if we assume that that scenario is correct, then let's take that and let's take the price that they are predicting here, $32,000. Let's say we have a pump and we go up to more like this. We go up to, let's say, $55,000, or let's just say that we go up to $50,000, and then we come down to $33,000, right? So this would be a 33% pullback. Yes, these are not completely unusual in bear markets or even in bull markets. They happen. But the caveat to that is that there's a lot of people I know are still sitting on the sidelines, and they are looking to get in also on a pullback here. So you also have, of course, from a technical standpoint, you have several key support levels. Mainly, you have the orange box right here with the red line. And I do think that this is, even in a very, very volatile Bitcoin environment, I still think that this is going to prove to be support for Bitcoin. And there are other factors for why I believe that you are not going to see $32,000 as well. So one of the reasons is that if you look at traditional markets, we are, we've had a little bit of a pullback, but we are more or less at an all-time high. We have reached our new all-time high for the traditional markets, for NASDAQ, for the Dow Jones, and the S&P 500. Now, if you look at Bitcoin, we are not at our previous all-time high. In fact, the all-time high is at $69,000. So we are still quite some far off the all-time high. And if you compare Bitcoin and you chart it against the S&P 500, you can see that right now we are basically, if you compare the S&P 500 to Bitcoin, just the performances, we are performing in terms of reaching our all-time high. We still have 36% left to even reach our previous all-time high, let alone surpass it. So what these guys are telling me, basically, let's assume that traditional market stays flat, and they are telling me that Bitcoin is going to go down to $32,000 while the traditional markets are at an all-time high, right? So what that would mean, so they're telling me that Bitcoin would underperform, because if you look at where we are right now for Bitcoin and we go down to $32,000, that's about 30%. So they're telling me that we're going to underperform the traditional markets by 33%, that we are going to find ourselves somewhere around here. And then you look at how far away we are going to be if we come down here to the all-time high of where Bitcoin was here when Bitcoin was at $64,000 and at $69,000 compared to the S&P 500. So that's essentially going to be an underperformance of 53% compared to the S&P 500. And then you also factor in that the spot Bitcoin ETF is inevitably going to bring some kind of buying pressure for Bitcoin. That is something we already know. It's going to be some kind of buying pressure. How much? Well, people tend to underestimate what can be achieved in several years and several months, and they overestimate what can be achieved in the next few weeks. Meaning, a lot of people are going to look at the spot Bitcoin ETF and maybe they will be underwhelmed by the money that is flowing into the spot Bitcoin ETF immediately, like the first week when it gets launched. So there's a difference between approved and launched. Someone actually pointed that out in yesterday's video. I should be more clear about that. But once the Bitcoin ETF is approved, meaning in the next few days, if it is approved, we're going to have that scenario I talked about most likely. And then when it is actually launched, probably end of January, then you are going to see some money flood into the ETF. And maybe people are going to say, oh, that's not what I expected. That's not a lot of money. And they're going to underestimate what can be achieved over time in terms for the price. So that is why the spot Bitcoin ETF is so important, because it's going to add constant buy-in pressure for Bitcoin over time. And then you also have the Bitcoin halving. You have all of these people on the sidelines that have been waiting to get into Bitcoin. They didn't buy the dip so far because they were scared of the economy. They were scared of this and that, of all of the people saying that we're going to go down to $32,000. And when we were at $32,000, people were saying we're going to go down to $8,000. So this is all, the same kind of fear mongering we have always seen for Bitcoin. But at some point, you just like I've been saying, the last few months and really the last year, at some point, you will just have to make a decision. At which point are you going to buy Bitcoin? And there's still a lot of people that haven't bought Bitcoin yet, and they are looking to get into Bitcoin on any dip here. So all of these things considered, S&P 500, traditional market set an all-time high. Spot Bitcoin ETF is going to add buying pressure to Bitcoin over time. You have the Bitcoin halving. You have us already being underperforming in terms of where we are to our all-time high compared to the S&P 500. Yes, in dollar terms, we're still, of course, wrecking the S&P 500 in terms of percentage gains from the bottom. But in terms of how far we are away from reaching our all-time high, they're telling me, these people on these news articles and these analysts are telling me that we are going to, with all these things I just mentioned, underperform by 55%. I am not buying that. And of course, this is something you already know if you've been watching my channels. Could I be wrong? Could I be completely wrong? Could we go down to $20,000 tomorrow? Hey, there's no way to say for certain, but I would say that the likelihood is very, very unlikely. And I am not assuming that with my money, at least. In fact, as you know, I have been constantly putting more money into the crypto markets here since buying that 16,000. Since this big breakout, let me show you the long-term chart here actually, which we obviously love, because this actually did give us the very, very best buying opportunity here for Bitcoin. Let me take this Fibonacci away. It was just from my previous video, I talked about some price targets here for Bitcoin. So make sure to watch one of my previous videos. But yeah, since that massive breakout on the RSI here, on the long-term charts, which I've been talking about for years, boom, down here. This was actually when we broke out of the RSI structure I was showing you. And then at 16, this was like, yeah, $16,000, maybe $17,000, we went heavy into Bitcoin. And since then, really, we've just been buying the dip on the way up here. And this is where I would think that we would see the most amount of gains inside of this teal box. And so far, it's been playing out pretty well. So yeah, that is what I am still going to do. I'm still following up with my plan here, which I've been outlined for several years now for my trading strategies. As you know, they've been doing tremendously well. Also on OKX, the latest figures is that, well, on these ones, we are up 700%, but this is like the 5th or 6th batch of bots I'm using here. Overall on OKX, the latest numbers is that I think $1.7 million of profit has been distributed to everyone that have been using these ones throughout the last year. Now for BitGet, which we've been using, I think for 2 months, no, not even 2 months, but for the 2 months, current profit is $150,000 almost on the main account and almost $42,000 on the second account. And this is not even counting the people that have already taken their profits and are not using the bots anymore. So in confirmed earnings right now, we see for both of these platforms on OKX and on BitGet, over $2 million worth of profits have been distributed to the subscribers here. It's nice that BitGet is tracking this one in real time. However, it doesn't track the subscribers that have already used these platforms. And if I take the last 90 days, you can see during the last 90 days, we have 1.5 thousand people that have been coming and going using these ones. So it's not tracking the total profit. So I would love to see that for Bitcoin as well being displayed here. Now, big video coming either later on today or tomorrow, where I will also launch a third account, because people have been messaging me so much, telling me to open up a new account because these two are now full, and they have been full for I think a few weeks already, or at least 1 week, and they want to get in. Well, you can get in if you watch my video at the top of the description. I show you exactly how you can set these ones up. But for you lazy guys that just want to click a couple of buttons, I am going to launch a third account as well. So hopefully I will get that done either later on today or tomorrow. So for now, guys, make sure to, and you can use the bots on OKX still, it's just on BitGet that they are full. But if you want to use these ones, go to OKX first, claim up to $60,000 by clicking on this link, click join now, and then with one click you can set up these bots right here. If you cannot use them, then on OKX, then go to BitGet, claim up to $8,400 right here. Be ready when I launch that new account, so you can join them with just one click. You will then find the link down here as well. But for now, just subscribe and be ready for that if you intend on using these trading strategies on BitGet. Okay guys, that is what I got for you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.